Well, hello. My name is Matt Newfield. I'm the president and CCO of Diversified, and I have the opportunity today to speak to the CTO of Monumental Sports, Charlie Myers. Charlie's doing some very unique things in industry and thought it would be a fun conversation to talk about what you actually recently did with the launch of your new studio, and where you're really trying to take your organization from a technology perspective. So appreciate the time.
No, thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
So if you think about where a lot of the regional sports teams are going, they really do still stick with what's going on in the national. And what Monumental Sports has done, especially around fan experience and technology, is very unique in the industry. What led you to do that?
Yeah, so I joined the company in August of 2022, and we immediately, about a week later, purchased the local regional sports network, NBC Sports Washington. And the reason why we didn't view it as buying a network, we viewed it as buying back our rights. Because, as you look at here in the marketplace and you hear a lot about the demise of the regional sports network, the devaluing of it, we thought it really was about, we gave our rights to people that really didn't care about the storytelling and the platform that we provide as much as we do. So we sort of took a step back and said, who's better to tell the story and have the passion behind it and put together the best experience for our fans? Because in the end, for us, it's all about fan experience, right? In venue, out of venue. So we took that step back and said, we're going to buy those rights back and we're going to build an experience, right, that's going to really draw fans in. Whether they're at home, whether they're in the arena, give them a platform, a true platform that they can dig as deep as we want to into content, or just sit back and watch a learning experience.
So being able to convince sports owners, league owners, the business side of this as a CTO sounds like a very daunting task. And I bet there are a lot of CTOs out there that don't even know how to approach something like this because it's so unique. How hard was it? Talk about just 2 weeks after you started. How hard was it to get there?
It actually wasn't hard at all. I think, Ted and Zach Leonsis are amazing partners. They're amazing owners. They're really, they have a lot of foresight and a lot of drive, and they really do push us to, be bold, to take some risks. And, they just sort of came to me and said, hey, we want to turn Monumental into basically not really just sports entertainment, turn us into a technology company, right? Build a platform that then we can do true fan engagement on and storytelling, right? But it's not just television, right? This is really an entire platform for fan experience. And as I often say, it's Capital One everywhere, Capital One Arena everywhere. How do we extend, if you were at home, how do I give an experience to you that makes you feel, gives you different camera angles, gives you statistics, makes you feel like you're embedded, at the arena, and really to make you want to be at the arena, make you really miss it. So, for us, it really just came down to what do we aspire to do? What are the things as an organization that, that we think that we're going to want to do? What's the 5 and 10 year roadmap?
Right.
And then how do we set the table for a true enterprise architecture? Start with media, but really turn this into, it's really a tech platform that we're going to, deploy lots of different things on. For those big ambitions that Monumental Sports and Entertainment has, but it'd be the start of it. And I think that's really what it came down to. Let's do ST, SIMT ST 2110, give that flexibility, be completely IP based, be, resolutionless, that we can, really scale up to what we need to. Because when you have fantastic owners like we do, and they really want to be aggressive and create amazing fan experiences and look at different products, quite frankly, that we could be launching. We needed that good, strong foundational base for us to be able to put that on. And we think that not only is it ST 2110, but the entire plant, it's virtualized.
Yep.
We got, about a petabyte of storage for us at least to start. I think this is the crawl for us. We've built this great facility, and the infrastructure underneath it, which most of the fans don't see, is state of the art. It's amazing. It facilitates hybrid cloud.
Yeah.
And it helps us then do that flex when we're ready to do that into a cloud-based, infrastructure to be able to do some interesting things and really provide more content and experiences for fans.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you spend all this time and money and energy building out something that most of your fans are never going to see.
That's
I mean,
right.
the back office plant, the control rooms that you have, the studio. I mean, it is national stuff. I mean, it's not a regional sports network that I've ever seen, right? This is big league stuff. I mean, as you were going through the decision process, how are you able to tie those tech decisions to that fan experience?
Yeah,
So many things there.
That's a great question. I love Zach Leonsis really challenged us, said we want a national look and feel and a national size platform, right? But regional focus. And I think we've built that. I think the entire facility has that national feel. The studios have that feel. If you go into our CER, it is a data center grade platform. It's pretty amazing to see all the great work that we've collaborated with you all to do. It just comes down to what are the things that we want to do? What are the requirements? And then how do we build that that foundational platform to do that? I mean, we've got Spine and Leaf, not only on the media side, we've got it now on our corporate network. Why is that important? Because as we start to extend out and upgrade the network experience into the arena, do things like private 5G, and how does that interface into it? We've set that solid foundation. And on top of that, which is near and dear to your heart, cybersecurity, set up a zero trust, posture.
Yeah.
And it all started with, the new facility being the, home base, if you will, allow us then to make all those changes at other facilities. Those will be the leaves to it. But yeah, it's that was a lot of just set the table to become a tech company.
Yeah, and that's really what it is. It's very extensible, and the cyber side of it also is very unique. We talk to a lot of companies around the world, and cyber is always an afterthought for them. And it was,
that's right.
I mean, it was straight requirements for everything you were doing. Even on your corporate network, how it split off to your production network, how the production networks were all split, how you were doing data transfers was fascinating for us as an integrator, really working with you, because we're used to having to push that on to a client going, hey, you really need to think this way, instead of dealing with someone like yourself who comes from a tech background, being able to work with us and go, no, it's a requirement. It has to be there.
It's not stovepiped. I think we were very intentional about, coming from, I've been in the industry from, going from SD to HD, analog to digital. And I can remember when we built flat networks, you didn't put, antivirus on a machine because it's going to degrade performance. And I think, events like Shadow Brokers really, put an imprint, at least on me and a number of my tech leaders, that this needs to be intentional. It can't be stovepiped. It can't be an afterthought. Because in the past, everybody would do a design and then go, oh, we're going to go to security now. Here, go look at this. Oh, they're so critical. We don't need to do that. No, we wanted to, how do we do this the right way up front? Because if you do it the right way up front, when you have to make changes, when you have to, with the new, threat vectors that come in, you're in a much better place. You're not playing catch up.
That's right.
And I didn't want to be in that position, playing catch up like Shadow Brokers. Good example, we had gone through almost everything, that the security industry said you need to do post Shadow Brokers. Like a year and a half before, we had gone at the previous employer and had all those postures that said, hey, we want to do this. And everyone said, we want to save the money. We don't think we need to do that, And I think that to me was exemplary of, no, you always need to be in front of it. It needs to be part of your thought process. It needs to be part of your intentionality through design, and you need to build it into the DNA of your staff. Every day they're thinking about that, and it's not a pain in the rear end or something along those lines.
That's right. You build it up front.
Yeah.
It makes your life so much better. And it's the same thing you're doing with this platform concept at an RSN. As new technology comes out, you're able to plug it in, test it out on your environment instead of it being a wholesale change.
That's right.
And it also pushes a lot of, I think, the tech industry into a weird spot that they're not used to, because because your entire platform, you could technically plug and play different technology in and out. If a certain tech you're using today is not working, you could pull that out, put something else in.
Right.
And it really does require now that a lot of the vendors that are out there that sell you hardware and software have to stay on top of their game. Otherwise, they can be replaced. And it's not that legacy of you're kind of stuck where you are for the next 5 to 10 years.
That's right. And you brought something up that sort of let me pull on the thread of it's technology. And I think the past 10 years, a lot of companies, they have broadcast guys and they had IT guys, guys and gals. And, they try to cross thread some of them, but the IT folks were leery of the broadcast folks and vice versa. And my experience over the past 10 years is how do you take those two teams? How do you, combine them together? How do you get them to be one? Right. And for folks who your main focus may not be broadcast, but you understand you're not fearful of it. You may not be an IT professional, but you could speak pretty clearly to it. And we've broken down the walls, particularly at Monumental. We're a technology team. We're not IT. We're not broadcast. We're spending a lot of time getting folks to erase those titles and just, immerse them in, 2110. It's a network. You're a network guy. It's a network. It's the,
just a protocol.
That's right. That's exactly right. And when you start to speak in those terms, some of the IT network guys go, well, that's not so bad, right?
That's right.
This isn't bad at all. In fact, I understand this a lot better. It removes a lot of the FUD they have about it. And even on the other side, as folks start to, it's been interesting, launching a 2110 plan. We had folks that had come over with the RSN deal, and they were really only worked in an SDI environment for 20 plus years. And they were really concerned about, I'm not a network professional. I really don't understand some of the concepts. If you said BGP to them, they have no idea what that is, right? Maybe it's a band from the 70s or something like that. But now they see the flexibility and the power of 2110. They understand how easy it is to operate it. And people are now digging into it. So it's been a great journey on that.
When I'm talking to a lot of your staff at your leadership levels that are coming in. What's nice is you all found commonality, to your point, and even some of the commonality that I started hearing people talk about the CIA, that triad of confidentiality, integrity, availability.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're in broadcast. It doesn't matter if you're in IT. Your stuff's got to be up. It's got to be good. It's got to be secure. Same thing. You're just doing it slightly different.
It's interesting that you bring that up. When we looked at, you can't find enough broadcast professionals that know 2110, know IP networking. So we said, what are similar industries, right, where you could bring somebody in and they could understand even just the base core values of uptime, like you said, CIA, all those pieces, but uptime. If you drop bits on the floor, it's a lot of money. So we found, in the banking and finance world, it's extremely similar.
Yeah.
Even from an economic perspective, they're all about free cash flow. As all the guys that we brought over like to point that out to me. But from a technical perspective, it's all the same. We have my chief network architect when he first joined us said, once he figured out PTP, he said, this is all very similar to what we've built before. Now I get it. It makes sense. So, it's exactly that point. How do you find folks that can fit into those pieces, assimilate, but break down that preconception that IP media is tough.
That's right. And IP media is not only tough, but it's so bleeding edge compared to what they like. And it's not bleeding edge.
No.
This space is 20 years behind the rest of industry in that world. You're just catching up. And it's just a lot of conversation. So what's next with Monumental? So you've built this wonderful plant. Where are you going next technology-wise?
Yeah, I think, for us, it's really how do we do flex into hybrid cloud? We've built the base on the on-premise base. We've picked tool. We were very purposeful about the tool selection we had on things. Give example, Panasonic Kairos video production switchers. They're software-based. I can operate them on-premise. I can operate them in the cloud. Tag, multi-view, same thing. So for us, it's how do we start to do some proof of concepts, flex into the cloud? It really just is, in the end, when we get past, is it streaming? Is it linear? It's just content.
Just content.
And that's all the customer thinks about. And the customer doesn't think about, oh, wow, they run that in a really cool 2110 plant. Maybe some do, but very few do. In general, it's just us storytelling. I think so. The focus is how do we look at, flexing into cloud? How does that us enable perhaps lower cost productions? I think, AI fits into that.
Absolutely.
Can we do AI production, right?
Yep.
Simple decision-making cuts, driving graphics, that would be a huge one. But I think beyond that, we're going to be really focused on statistical storytelling. How can I create a platform that understands the context of what's happening in the game and be able to present statistics and explain that to an end viewer that will enhance the experience. And as you think about it, you're starting to see, betting become more common. A lot of people are just in the statistics, understanding what's happening during the game. We think that that's a great opportunity. We think there's a few platforms that have done a good job of it. There's a lot that just kind of put it up there, becomes sort of numerical noise, if you will. Yeah. And I think for us, how do we tie that in? And how do we even educate fans on what some of those things are? Like, take a hockey game. I don't know, I've watched hockey since I was a kid. I'm not cognizant of when the first line and the fourth line are up against each other because you're just involved in what's happening. Is my team about to score? But what's the reason behind that, right? And you may be able to show offensive efficiency, defensive efficiencies. So, and explain a bit more, like what's the coach thinking?
Right.
Why is that happening, right? Is this a good thing? And that goes both ways for somebody who's sort of looking at, what's happening in their game. But if you're also, looking at doing betting, there's, data that helps drive that. So,
that's right.
Different, and I think there's different, age groups, different, sections of the viewership where they lean towards either one of those. Or more towards one of those. So, we're trying to think of not just, what we want. We're trying to think of the different fans that we have and how we can serve them best.
That fan experience is really key to everything you're doing, and being able to get that unique perspective to the different fan base that you have, right? So to your point, if they're up and coming hockey fans or basketball fans or very seasoned bettors and not bettors, the platform you've built really allows you to fine tune for those people, whether they're using an iPad or, a smart tablet to watch the game, they're in the arena or they're watching television. So exactly. I think it's really cool. Well, Charlie, look, I really appreciate you taking the time with me today. I hope you have a great day and look forward to seeing where Monumental goes next.
Awesome. Thanks for your time. This is great, Matt.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.